Now, you may see physios and people in the fitness industry on YouTube or on Instagram doing various things where they're balancing on unstable objects and doing all sorts of funny things. And some people take it into very extreme levels where you think, what's the point in that? Or is that a bit dangerous or whatever else? Now, obviously, if you work in the circus and you're a tightrope walker, it probably makes a lot of sense. But if you think about it, in normal life, within normal sport, there isn't an immense amount of instability under your foot. Yes, you're moving around and you need stability in your joints, but there's not that much wobble underfoot. You know, you're not on unstable surfaces per se. Now, that doesn't mean it isn't something that you should do. On the contrary, it is something that you can use as a training mechanism, but it doesn't quite carry over all the way towards actual functional movement in actual sport. But if you think about it, when you're first injured, you are unable to do a lot. You can't run, you can't jump, you can't land, you can't change direction fast. And these things require stability, but they also encounter load. And you can't tolerate that load initially with certain injuries. So in terms of looking at research on this, it shows that unstable surface training is actually useful, but it's been considered to be more useful in the earlier stages of rehab because you can't tolerate the load. Nothing benefits more than putting that load through, because we know that, like, hitting the ground, jumping, landing, sprinting, the loads are immense. So if you're injured in a structure, then the loads are immense through that structure and it won't be able to bear that toleration. So another good way of trying to improve stability but without the load is obviously unstable surface training, so standing on wobble boards and various other things. And the research shows this is a very good idea. It is beneficial in the earlier stages. However, if you're not injured, is unstable surface training something that is useful? Now, again, if you're a tightrope walker or something of that nature, yeah. But in terms of real sport, they've done research on this to see if doing unstable surface training is actually good. And incredibly, what they've found is that it is a detrimental effect on certain explosive elements like sprinting and jumping. The actual ability to do that was reduced by doing unstable surface training. So what this means is that, you know, there is a potential here that it could be not such a good idea to spend your time on. Like you say, it's not really carrying over into what you need to do. I mean, if you think about it, if you're standing on something that wobbles around and you're trying to put force through something, which you see people doing like squats, barbell back squats on a Bosu ball or whatever, you can't push through the ground. You're not getting very good ground reaction force, you're not getting good tolerance, you're not getting good explosion because you're dissipating that load through the ball and the wobble. Yes, you're training stability, but to what end? So if you then translate that over to trying to jump off the ground, you've not trained to push into a solid surface to explode from, which means you're going to be not as good. And that's obviously what this research is highlighting. So like I say, I'm not saying definitively you shouldn't use unstable surface training. You should, particularly in the earlier stages, and it can still be accompaniment in some intermediate stages as well, of course. But I think when you're uninjured and you're just thinking, how can I improve my stability? You'd be much better off doing drill-based work, more jump and land and stabilize, and change direction and stabilize, and decelerate and stabilize, and things that involve that sort of movement, even single leg work, as opposed to unstable surfaces, because it translates into real sport much better than actually being on something really wobbly. So anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.